Well, welcome. Have you ever felt frustrated with a family member or a spouse, and you feel like you don't know why they don't know that you love them? I have felt that many times in my life with my family. I've been frustrated with my children, with my spouse, and I couldn't understand why they didn't know that I loved them, and the things that I did made them do the things that they did. So I was especially frustrated with a 10-year-old boy, as probably some of you have felt, either with a 10-year-old son or daughter. But we were having a struggle. He was deliberately disobedient. I couldn't understand why he wouldn't listen, or he didn't understand that the things that I did made him feel like I loved him. What was I doing as a parent? Was I failing him? These were questions that I struggled with. So I thought back to my own childhood. When I thought about my parents raising me, how did they make me feel loved? And so I reflected back, and they did make me feel loved, but how? One moment I kind of reflected on was when I was 14, and this was a pivotal moment in my family's life. My parents just took custody of my brother's dysfunctional children, and it turned our family life upside down, literally. But how did my parents make me feel loved in the midst of this chaos? So Dr. Gary Chapman is an expert marriage therapist, and he came up with the 5 love languages. So these love languages are there's 5 of them that we each speak. Or this is a generalization, but he came up with 5. And they tell us, or tell other people, that we love them. So the first one is words of affirmation. This one is one that we tell people how well they're doing, or build them up with praise through words. The second one is receiving gifts. Now this one, you think of just monetary things like buying someone something, but it can just be a little thing like bringing a little cupcake to somebody, or you think about your children, or your visiting teachers, or even your spouse, thinking about going to the store and buying them their favorite candy bar. That's something that could mean something and is thoughtful to somebody whose love language is receiving gifts. The next one is quality time. Now this one can present itself in a variety of ways. It can be spending time with someone, but it can also be running errands, or just finding little ways to spend small amounts of time with that person. The next one is acts of service. And this one, I feel like as mothers, we do really well. But our families may not always recognize that. So we have, doing little things. But for me, when my husband does acts of service for me, that means a lot to me. When he does the dishes or folds the laundry, then he knows that he can really get on my good side. And then the last one is physical touch. Now, between a husband and wife, intimacy is really important. But for a child, giving them hugs or kisses, or just a gentle touch, or as Relief Society sisters, just giving someone a hug or a touch on the shoulder can really let them know that we love them. So how do we speak someone's love language, or how do we find out? Now, Dr. Gary Chapman has given us a quiz that we can take. So if you go online to the 5lovelanguages.com, and you click on the profile, you can go and find out what your love language is, what your spouse's love language is. We've done this in a family home evening, where we've gone and found out what everybody's love language is and practiced it for a month, so we can really get in the habit of recognizing and finding little ways that we can bring more harmony and love into our home. And what better way as sisters to serve our families better is to really do what Christ did and minister to our children or our spouses or our sisters by speaking their own love language. Now back to my little precious Caden boy. So I really looked at within myself as his mother, and I tried to figure out what I was doing, and I realized that I wasn't speaking his love language. Ironically, his love language is words of affirmation, and so is mine. But I was also just getting on him because he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do. He wasn't doing his chores. He was just not listening, and Caden this, and Caden that, and this, and this, and this. And so I started looking for ways to praise him in everything that he did. Just really let him know that he was an awesome kid. He did well in school, and that he meant a lot to me. Even if he made mistakes or he wasn't doing everything that he was supposed to do, I recognized that he was trying, and that he was a good kid, and that I loved him, and that the Savior loved him no matter what he did. No matter what choice, I would always, always love him. And so I started reminding him that every night. And little things started changing in our family. He started doing things that I asked him to do. He was happier. And he started doing chores for me again. And so as I showed love to him, he reciprocated back to me. And it really made a big difference. Now, we're still working on this. I'm not a perfect mother, and none of us can ever be. But as we strive to make those little changes, our children can see that, and our spouses can see it. Especially if we're having contention in our relationship, if we change ourselves. And if we speak their language, then they'll reciprocate back and speak our own love language. So back to my story with my parents. So how did they make me feel loved in this tumultuous time? How did they make me feel that I was worthwhile as their child when their focus was on these children? And I quote my dad because he spoke my love language. I often called him Daddy growing up. And I really knew how to get to my dad's heartstrings by doing that because I was his only daughter. And so I could be like, Daddy. But he wrote me a letter during Christmas time about 7 years ago. And it's something that I cherish. I keep it in my journal. I keep it there safe so that I can always have it. But he made me feel loved because he spoke my love language. He says, I have often pondered your reaction to the darker years. Those first years we found ourselves with the burden of 4 little wayward souls to direct down life's path. You had a weight to bear that no one your age should be called upon to carry. It was hard for you, so hard that it will always grieve my heart when I think about it. But the way you handled it will always cause me to marvel. It could have ruined a lesser person, but that adversity and that way you handled it has made you a woman with wisdom and strength far beyond your years. Again, you make me proud. And those are words that I will always cherish. And if my dad ever passes, well, I can't think of that day, but I will know that he loved me and he loves me. And that is a gift that he's given me that will last through a lifetime. So I challenge you to learn a new love language, to go out and speak it, and to bring more love into this world. Thank you.
Thank you.